Friends, there is one Soviet car, no, to be more precise, a model of a car that makes me feel the most, warmest feelings. Answer. Izh-2125, early, and I will show it to you today and tell you about it. And it is still in operation. But a bit of history, according to tradition, without it will not work out. To understand why this was needed at all, when something similar was already being produced at the same time, namely the beloved Moskvich 412, but it was necessary. The plant in Izhevsk is an army enterprise, a serious one, which has been successfully stamping Moskvich 408 since December 12, 1966, and then in 1967 412 Moskvich appeared. By the way, the machines where the body elements were stamped were all imported, bought abroad. But fashion does not stand still. Technology is rushing forward by leaps and bounds, and it was necessary to change urgently. And the designers of Izh did not stand still, but there was no money, but somehow it was necessary to hold on. As a result, Izh-2125, in fact, this is a compromise. It turned out to be something like a compromise between the idea and the possibilities. In short, again, the entire rear of the car was originally planned as something sleeker and more modern. The door, for example, is up to the bumper itself, the rear windows are rounded along the lower edge, and there should have been as many as 4 headlights. And thank God that with the face it turned out like that. Yes, it's just a miracle. Yes, it looks like the 412, but it has its own grille, vertical small cuts, headlights from the GDR, manufactured by the FER company. By the way, the headlights can be adjusted without removing, well, in this case, the grille. I can't stop admiring the looks. Such headlights were also installed on Warbirds, 412s, RAFs, and our buses. In short, the front end turned out to be stylish, especially the side turn signals. And the entire front end is framed by a chrome-plated compound frame. In short, the picture is chrome. It's originally painted. Wings from 412, VAZ mirrors stolen. Well, I'll tell you, the car has been in operation all its life. Well, imagine, you have new teeth inserted, and your friend comes up and says, "Terrible, not real, you could try to find real ones somehow." So, we continue. Wet. We look at the roof. There are no stiffening ribs, as in the later ones, which means the metal is 0.031 inches, and not 0.027, as it was later. Of the early elements, and we have an early car, manufactured in 1979, these are traumatic handles, that is, ordinary, correct ones. There are such window vents on the windows, in fact, caps on wheels, and of course, the whole divine front. Unification in the Soviet way, to do. The entire front part is from the 412, and the entire rear part is its own, to the stern. You can't even imagine how many copies were broken off by these lovers of discussing other people's sterns. A strange word. Is that how it is pronounced? The body of this Izh is a Kombi, and nothing else. Not a hatchback, remember, please, the hatchback is a shortened version of the base sedan, and here the length is the same as the 412. There is a ledge, it is it that determines everything. And it's not a station wagon, as the slope of the door is different, although the natives call all bodies with a 5th door station wagons. Okay, forget it. Here the main thing in the car is the cargo compartment. The lid, by the way, rises 72 inches, and this is significantly higher than the average height of a resident of the USSR, which was 66 inches. And I can state with all responsibility, the layout of the Izh-2125 had no equal among other domestic cars. The main word here is rationality and thoughtfulness. For example, the volume is approximately 79 gallons, but all this can be increased by expanding the rear sofa, where the seat becomes a wall separating people's backs from flying potatoes. And then the capacity by volume is 330 gallons. So, comrades, everything is simple. We stretch the seat a little forward. We push off the fiscators. Sorry. Board? Well, then you need a board. Have you seen how thin elegant ashtrays are here? Brown plastic. Looks pretty unusual. It makes no sense to talk about the salon, but for the sake of formality it is necessary to show. It is from the ancestor of the class, the 408th, with improvements in the fashion of the 412th with all the resulting leatherettes, vinyls, and rubber. The torpedo is wrapped in porous safety plastic in order to please European safety standards. And yes, it's stylish. The radio is not the same anymore, but I want to note that it has always been here. This is how communist luxury looks like for the working people. And also, under the floor, it didn't work out. Under the floor, it didn't work out. Okay, there's a spare tire hidden. Wow, appreciate what size it is, what volume. This is not what I expected to see. The spare wheel takes only, well, 50%. You can pile half of the garage here, a spare battery, a starter. This is practicality. Well, and as Sasha loves, the tank is behind. Under the hood, as it has always been, as it will always be, as it will always be until death. And I don't want to joke. Well, as usual, let's move on to the characteristics of the motor. Gasoline, inline, 4-cylinder, 90 cubic inches. The maximum power is 75 horsepower at 5,800 RPM. The maximum torque is 107 Newton meters at 3,400 to 3,800 RPM. V-shaped arrangement of valves, their drive with rocker arms. Special feature, cast iron sleeves in an aluminum block. Amen. As they say, repetition is the mother of learning. The engine began to be designed in the middle of the 64th year. In the 65th, it has already gone to the test. About 30 motors from leading European and not only manufacturers were investigated. Therefore, this engine is the quintessence of the best. Hey, debaters, this engine is littered with a BMW engine and looks like a BMW engine. And the carburetor here is from the 8. Yes, if there are two of you, it will not be very fun. Cramped. Rose, thank you very much. The creator of such an unknown beauty. And this, a place for the phone has already been thought of. Well, of course, it could not do without bad taste, but we will not focus on this. Handsome. Everything is fine. Radio, okay. It said let's go. That's all. Izh-2125 began to be produced in 1973 and riveted until 1997. There are two interesting points. Here is the first of them. It is very difficult to find an early Izh since they were released before modernization. According to some data from still open sources, only 66,500 cars, and this is a very, very small figure on the scale of a huge country. The one who saw through Izh, he had a supercar. This is undeniable. Passport weight capacity is 440 pounds and 2 sturdy villagers. But the most daring loaded here and more than 1,000 pounds. After all, how is it in the village? There is a place, so you need to load everything. And the car was able to withstand it all. And all thanks to the fact that there is a frame. I'm kidding. This is a lie, of course. But there is some truth in every joke. Not a frame, of course, but the spars on the bottom are reinforced. In fact, they create a frame. There is no such thing on the 412. In addition, the rear spring axle was presented with 2 more sheets of springs. Of course, these changes went to the car for the benefit, and it would seem that these minor changes have increased the Kombi's carrying capacity without loss of smoothness. That is, 660 pounds on the hump, and the ride is pleasant, soft, without breakdowns. The brake here is double circuit, reliable, well, if you regulate it, with an amplifier. It was not in vain that I mentioned this. In Izhevsk it first appeared on the Combi, and only then on the 412. And like an electric sprayer, a windshield washer, Kombi was the engine of progress, and its quality was much higher than Muscovites in general, since the army represented by the USSR Ministry of Defense, whose department included Izh-2125, was responsible for this. Gearbox, for speeds, synchronized. Well, Sasha, what don't you like again, huh? With proper care it is beautiful, without care it is sad. Genetically, it is from the 407th, but there are other bearings, other bushings, that's not the point. This old lady knows how to twist her hips. As I said, this model has been produced for 25 years, and during this time, a lot has changed. In 1982, there was a modernization, and that Kombi was already remembered by everyone. It was released much more than the first series. The total circulation of all 2125 exceeded 414,000. And it also turns out that the car was riveted longer than the Izh-2101. The visibility is excellent. I have already mentioned reliability, but what else? Yes, here's another important thing. The ability to repair is fabulous. In fact, the car can be repaired using a standard set of keys. I emphasize, practically any node. It seems to me that in vain the USSR abandoned the promising idea of the further development of rear-wheel drive reliable inexpensive cars then. But that was then. The main thing is that they do not remember about it today, because it is not clear how it will end. Although, the hunt continues.